Today's video is the next video in our Explained in Code series, where we look at everyday things and explain them through code. Today we're going to be looking at the Happy or Not terminals. So these terminals have got 4 buttons on them. You often see them in shopping centres. They've got a very happy, sad and very sad button. And as people go by them, they tap on the button and that, whatever their selection is recorded, and then they've got totals at the end of the day. So you'll often notice kids go by these and they won't just tap it once, they'll bang on it a number of times. So we're going to look at how can we get around that in code, just to record the one selection per person. We're going to be doing this in Scratch, and if you want to follow on, our step-by-step instructions are on our website 123code.org. If you'd like to follow on as well, you can go to our website 123code.org and you'll be able to get the step-by-step instructions from here. As you can see, we've updated our website slightly, so we've listed out some of our projects. You can go into any of these, and as usual, if you have the project code, you can just enter it in the box and click on Start Project. So the project code for this is V221, and click on Start Project, and that'll bring you to the step-by-step instructions. Okay, so let's get cracking. So first step is to create a new Scratch project. So let's open up the Scratch website in a separate tab, and we'll click on Create. Okay, so let's close down the tutorials, and we don't need the cat for this, so we're going to delete the cat sprite. So that's step 1. So step 2 is to draw the 4 button sprites. So we're going to have a very happy, sad, and very sad. So let's use the paint editor, the sprite editor, to create these. So we're going to use our circle tool here, and we want to get a dark green for the very happy button, because we'll use light green for the happy, just to distinguish them apart. So to draw a perfect circle, what you want to do is just hold down your left mouse button, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and drag across, and that will draw a perfect circle. If I let go of the Shift key, you'll see it'll start kind of drawing an ellipse shape as opposed to a perfect circle. So Shift key and drag across. Just drag that into the middle. Okay, so that's my green circle. So now I want to draw 2 black dots and a black smile as well. So let's do the black dots. So we're already on our circle tool. Let's change it to black by moving the brightness. So I'm going to zoom in so it's a bit easier to see. So I want 2 small circles. So again, I'm going to hold my Shift key and get a perfect circle. I'm just going to Control C and Control V to copy and paste that one. And now for the mouth, I'm going to use the circle tool again, but I'm going to draw an ellipse like so. And I'm going to click on the reshape tool, and this lets you kind of drag different parts of the shape to reshape them. So just mess around with it a little bit till I get a kind of wide, happy, smiley face. So that's my very happy sprite. So I'm just going to rename that very happy. So I'm going to duplicate this. So right click, duplicate, and let's drag these around. So very happy first up here, and then happy will go beside it. I'll rename the sprite to happy, and I'm going to change the color of it. So let's first of all select that green, and I'll just maybe change the brightness and the saturation maybe, just to make it a kind of lighter green. There we go. So now what I need to do is I need to make a smaller smile for the happy. So very happy should have a big smile. Actually, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Ooh, let's undo that. So a kind of bigger smile for very happy, a smaller smile for happy. I'll make it even smaller again. Zoom in. So it's still a smile, it's just a little bit slimmer. Let's bring it down at the edges, like so. Now, I'm not really happy with that green. It's a little bit washed out, so let's try and change that. So let's select it first of all, maybe increase the saturation a little bit. And paste that in or fill that in. Okay, so that is my very happy and happy buttons. So now I'm going to duplicate happy, and we're going to create our sad button. So again, I'll just drag it into place. So this time we want to fill it in with a red. So, and we want a light red for the sad. So there we go. Now for the mouth, instead of a smile, we're just going to have a little pout. And the easy thing to do here is just to select it. So use this select tool, click on the mouth, and then we can just flip it vertically, and it'll change it from a smile to a pout. And now what I'm going to do is for the very sad, I'm going to duplicate the very happy because I'm going to use that smile. Have I made these too big? Do I have room? No, I don't. So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to quickly shrink each of these to 90% of its size. Just to make sure I've got enough space. There we go. Okay, so for the very sad, first of all, we'll change the color. So let's get the red of sad using the eyedropping tool, the eyedropper, like so. Select my very sad sprite again, and we are going to make this a kind of deeper red, like so. So as we can see, we've got a deep green for the very happy, lighter green for happy, light red for sad, and dark red for very sad. So the last thing we need to do is just flip the mouse around. So again, we'll flip vertically, move it slightly. So now we have our 4 buttons and our faces and colors set up correctly. So let's go to the next step. So the next step is to create 4 variables. So for each button, we're going to have a corresponding variable that's going to record and store the amount of clicks that it has. So it'll start off at 0, and as you click each one, it'll put the variable up. So we need to create 4 variables: very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. So let's go into our variables toolbox, make a variable, and create these. So very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. So there we can see our 4 variables in the toolbox there, and they've also been added onto the screen. Now, if you wish, you can use the checkbox to turn these on and off, whether they appear on the screen or not. We do want them to appear, so what we're going to do is leave them on, and we're going to drag them just above their corresponding button. So it's kind of very easy to see. It'll be easy to see the totals as we click them. So that's step number 3. So let's move on to step number 4. And this is when button pushed. So step number 4 is we're going to code the buttons to be pushed. So we're going to use the when this sprite clicked, and we're just going to change the corresponding variable for each button by 1. So add 1 to it. So very easy. Let's just do it on very happy. So let's go into the events, get when this sprite clicked, and then variables, change variable by 1, and this is for very happy. So you'll see now when I click, each time I click, we can see the very happy variable increasing by 1 each time. Okay, so as I mentioned kind of in the intro, often when you see these terminals in real life, you'll see kids, I know my kids certainly love to do it, is when they see them, they go up and press the button, but they don't just press it once, they press it a bunch of times. And that obviously will knock out the figures that the terminal is trying to record. It's just trying to record 1 vote per person. And if somebody goes in and presses it a number of times, obviously that kind of that knocks out the totals that they're really looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a weight variable. And we're going to check if weight is equal to 0. And if it is, that's fine. We'll record our vote. We'll record the button press. And then we're going to set weight to 5. So that's going to wait 5 seconds before the next one can be pressed and recorded. So it'll set it to 5 and then it'll count down. It'll take 1 second away each time in this repeat. And in doing so, we'll count down to 0. So adding this code in prevents multiple votes or multiple clicks happening and being recorded for the one person. So let's break this out. So what we need to do is first of all create our weight variable, weight, and we can see it there on screen. I'm going to leave it on screen for the moment. I will turn it off in a second, but I want to see it so I can actually test it. So we're going to check. So if weight is equal to 0, then we're happy to record one of the votes, and then we want to set weight to 5, so to wait 5 seconds. And then what we want to do is count down those 5 seconds. So we could do a repeat and do it 5 times, or a little bit more elegant way would be to say, keep on repeating this code until weight is less than 1. So it's going to be equal to 0. So, and the reason why it's kind of better to do it this way is if we ever decide to change weight, we'll only do it for 3 seconds. We don't need to change this code. But whereas if we were using this repeat loop here, we'd have to change that code to correspond with the amount of time we're setting for weight. So that's why we do it this way. So what we're going to do is in this loop, we're going to wait 1 second, and then we're going to take 1 away from weight. So we're going to count down until it's 0. So let's try this out. So I'm going to click on the green flag. Now you'll notice my very happy is still at 32. It hasn't cleared out. So what I'm actually going to do is in the backdrops, I'm going to add some code in here. So when green flag clicked, I'm going to set my variables to 0. Let's zoom in. So very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. So when I click on the green flag, it goes to 0. So now I'm going to do my test of my new code here. So when I click it once, that's great, it records my vote. But when I click it again, you can see weight isn't at 0, so it's not recording it. Now it's back to 0, I click it again and it is recording it. And as we can see, it sets weight again to 5 and then counts down. So in doing so, you prevent the multiple votes per person. Multiple clicks per person. Only lets them register 1 vote each time. Okay, so that is step number 5. Now we're going to move on to step number 6. So we're going to copy the code to the other buttons. So we haven't coded the happy, sad, or very sad yet. So the reason why we didn't is the code is very similar to what we've done for very happy. So now that we have this finished and working for very happy, we're going to copy it in to the 3 other buttons. So the easiest way to do this is just to grab the code block and drop it into each sprite like so. And then we just need to change it slightly. So in each one, so I'm in happy now, we need to change this block where we add 1 to the variable. So it needs to correspond to whatever sprite you're currently working on. So happy has the happy variable. The sad sprite has the sad variable, and the very sad has the very sad variable. So let's just test these. Oh, yeah, we need to wait my 5 seconds. Happy works. Sad. Oh, yes. So this is a bit of a problem, a little bit of a glitch in the code, a bit of a bug. So sometimes if you click it fast enough, you can actually set weight to -1. because weight has been set to -1, it won't get into this code, so it won't get affected and it won't record any of our clicks. So what we need to do is, I think I have this in, yeah, it's actually in the next step. So the next step, step number 7, is to clear the variables. We've already added in the first part here. But what we need to add in is this last part here. And this just basically checks if weight has been glitched. If it's gone less than 0, then we're just going to set it to 0 again. So this is in the when green flag clicked, and it's in a forever block. So it's constantly forever checking this. So if it ever happens, it'll just set it back to 0. So let's just add it in. Control forever if, is it less than? Yep, less than. So into operators. So if weight is less than 0, which as we can see it is here, we're going to set weight back to 0. So click my green flag and we'll try and cause this to happen again, and it shouldn't. So I'm clicking really fast. As you can see, it's not set, it's a -1 this time. So I'm just testing all my buttons to make sure that I can register a vote for each one. Okay, so that's all working. So now we'll move on to step number 8. So this is all well and good in that it's recording all the numbers, and at the end of the day, you're going to have your totals for each of the buttons. But at the end of the day, the terminals are going to need to record what the totals were for the day and then reset them all to 0 for the next day. So that's what we're going to try and do now using code. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a list, and that list is going to record at the end of the day what the totals for each button was and also the date. So this is step number 8. So we're going to create a list called previous days. We're going to create a variable called record, and we're going to use that variable to build up a record for the day, which gets added to the previous day's list. And then we're going to also add a button to sprite, just so that will signify clicking that will be the end of the day, and it'll build the record and save it into previous days and clear them out. So let's do this now. So let's create a list called previous days. And we're also going to create a variable called record. So let's hide our weight. We will drag our previous days down here and spread it out so we can see it. And record is there as well. We don't want to show that. So I'm going to tick that off. And we're going to go into the sprite library and get button 2. You can choose any button you want. I'm just going to go button 2. And drag it down here at the bottom. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in the, if I jump to step number 10, you can see here, so basically when you click on the button, we're going to build the date, we're going to add in the totals for each of the very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. And then we're going to add the record to the previous days. But basically what we're doing is we're building this up in the record variable before adding the record variable to the list. And I'm in step number 9, I'm actually creating a custom block. And what this does is it adds things on to the end, to the record. So what it does is you can pass in 2 pieces of text, and it will join, it'll take what currently record is set to, and it'll join in the 2 pieces of text on the end. So in doing that, we can put in the date and a slash, the month and a slash, the year and a space, and then very happy with the number and a space, happy with the happy number and a space, sad with the sad number and a space, and very sad with a very sad number and a space. So it builds it all up into the record variable using that custom block and then adds it to the list. So we need to create this custom block first. So that's what this is for. So to do so, if you want to ever get a little tip on how to do any of these things, when you see a green box in the step-by-step instructions, you can just click on it and it'll give you information on how to do it. But I'm going to do it on screen here now. So I'm going to go into my blocks and I'm going to choose make block. and we're calling this add text. Now, as you can see, we pass two pieces of text into the block, which we then use. So we need to add these two inputs. So you can add an input for number or text, a Boolean, which is true or false, or a label. And what we're going to do is add in two pieces of text. So we'll call the first one text and the second one text2. Easy enough. And when you click on OK, it'll add a block to your code area called define and the name of your block. And it'll also create a block in the toolbox that you can use. So we're going to use it on button 2 when this right clicked. Actually, I'll leave that out for the moment. So let's finish off doing what the add text custom block does. So it's going to set the record variable. So I'm going to variables set record variable 2, and we're going to join, which is in operators. We actually need two of them, so I'm going to join the two, or drag in two. So the first one is join the record variable. So if that's currently set to something, it'll keep that and then add whatever you put on the end in, which is going to be text and text2. Okay, just check that that's right. It is. Okay, so now we're going to start using it. So in step number 10, we're going to go into events when this right clicked. So that's for when you click on button 2. We're going to set records to blank at the start because we might have used this before and a record might currently be equal to something which we don't want. So we want it to be blank at the start. So set record to blank. And then we're going to add in the date and a slash. So we're going to use our custom block now. So add in, going to sensing, we can get current date and a slash. So I'll just even show you how this works. So as we can see, our list is empty there. Actually, we'll need to put in add record to previous days. So I need to put that in to actually add whatever we build record to be into the list. So once I click it, as we can see, it sets record to 0. That should actually be blank. So I'll delete that. And then it puts in the date. So today is the 11th. So it puts in and then the /. So we can see it build and add them in there. So if I duplicate this twice, we can do the full date. So there we go, date, month, year. And I'm going to actually add delete all of previous days into the green flag. Click, just to clear it out. So there we go. So now we can see the code working. It's adding in the date, the month and the year. So the 11th of the 12th, 2019. We want a space after the year. So now we need to add in the very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. So again, we're going to use our add text block. And we're going to use a join block in here. So very happy and space, and then into the variables and get the very happy variable and pop it in there, and then we'll have a space in here just so when they do get added there's a space between each one, they don't run into each other. And I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. Ooh, too many. So we've very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. And now we need to just change the variables accordingly. So very happy, happy, sad, and very sad. So just check my code. So they're all added in. So, and then we're going to add the record to the previous day. So let's just see if it's working. So we have the date, and they're all set at 0 at the moment. So very happy 0, sad 0, very sad 0. So it seems to be working. And the last thing we want to do is just clear these out, because when they do have numbers associated with them, when numbers stored in them, at the end of the day, when you record your record, you want to reset them back to 0. So let's just put these in. So again, let's do it in order. So very happy, sad, and very sad. So let's click on the green flags. Everything's cleared out. Let's add some records. So we'll add 2 to very happy within my 5 seconds. There we go. Then we'll add 1 to sad. And we'll add 1 to happy. And then we'll leave very sad at 0. So again, this is just a test to see if it's working. So it should, when the record goes in, it should be 2, 1, 1, 0. Well, let's make this 2. 2, 1, 2, 0. Actually, let's have them all different, just to make sure it's all working. So 3, 1, 2, 0. I click on my end of day button. So first of all, it sets them all back to 0. And then we have the date. Very happy was 3. Happy was 1, sad was 2, and very sad was 0. So that there is an example of how the happy or not terminals work using code. So we coded the buttons to record the numbers for each one. We prevented the multiple clicks from happening, so you can only record 1 vote per person. And then at the end of the day, we get our date, we get our totals for each button, and we record it and we set it back to 0. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any comments or if you have any suggestions of other things you'd like to see explained in code, then just let us know.